So what will probably happen is I'll cut this curve here, and then these two pieces will splice together and come down here to fill in any gaps that might happen. So to kind of visualize how the design's going to cut in. So this is what it would kind of sort of look like. In this original design, the moon looks more like corn on the cob. So I think the change that I made there is a good one. The pieces as they've been cut so far. This is where things are right now. I'm going to pull some marquetry down here and here, cut in the next set of curves, tape that up, and then we'll seam the bottom half with the top half. This thing didn't record any of that. So the first time you set this curve, it's easy. So you just have to have these knobs loosened. And you set the curve and you tighten as you go along. When you're trying to copy a curve the second or third time around, it's a little bit more fiddly. So again, you start with all the knobs being loose and working from one end over, slowly tightening. And when you work to the next part of the curve, you'll find that you have to loosen the one just before it just a tad bit so you can get the line in. And you might work further out, so skipping this one and bending this into place, and then tightening this, tightening that. Just kind of working your way all the way down. So a really cool tool, just a bit fiddly sometimes. For the top hand, it was the full length of this ruler. I think I moved the tool as I was making that second cut. Let's see how that looks. There's a difference here. So that's about 1.5 inches. And that's double that. So that's going to end up looking kind of wonky, I'm sure. So I'm going to have to do the cut over. I think I moved the tool. I'm going to fix this part here. I think what I'll do, I'll just bring this piece back into place, and I'll just piece together the other part. I have everything seamed together. It looks like the gap between these sides are a bit more balanced. Looks like the design is a bit more balanced. On this side, the seam is nice and smooth, but here over on this side, it has this ridge. So I think the paper tape might have been pulled a bit more tightly on this side than on that one, and it's created that ridge. That's going to be a little bit of a problem later. The video keeps cutting out on me. So I put in a repair here. Basically, it's a thin stick that I just jammed in this crevice. And later on, when everything dries, I'll need to scrape or sand this down flush so it doesn't jet out this way on the bottom. And I'm hoping on the other side, when I flip it over, it's going to be hardly noticeable. The alternative would be to cut in a piece. It's a much larger piece, it's easier to work with, and to tape that in. But if I don't do that right, it's going to be more noticeable. So I'd end up making a bad problem worse. So I'm just going to leave it at that. This shifted over by a good 2 inches, it looks like. When I was building out this bottom half, I ended up cutting the stringer, and then it becomes an out of sight, out of mind thing. So although this is lined up straight this way, Something shifted over this way. Just tape. But I'm feeling hesitant in laying down this first line of tape without it really being absolutely where I want it to be. And just take me a minute to sort it out. I just did a repair and I'm trying to find it, which is good. So there that is. So this piece didn't fit all that well. So what I did was I took my thumbnail and just kind of formed it into place, and it seemed to work out okay. It curves, and I move this straight edge along the tape of the line. The board is all taped up, stitched together. What's going to happen here is this material here is longer and this material here is shorter. And so rather than risking things becoming uneven, what I decided to do was, this is the nose piece, and so this skirt on the bottom, the marquetry down here, is going to blend in and mask the difference over there. And those are just going to be cut according to the existing lines. Mostly tight, not all the way tight. Pitch and angle. Tighten this one a bit. I'm going to be careful not to bind the veneer underneath it. So I'm going to use the template cutter. So because this is going to give me about 32nd of an inch of a gap, just pushing slightly on the edge here to give a slight back end overlap so that I can make the cut and everything fits. If there's something overhanging later, I can use sandpaper. That's the cut. Each half has been individually taped up, and I'm really thinking about doing this sort of inlay pattern here. I'm going to be seaming these two pieces up on the nose here. This side's going to need a bit more work because I had to trim this side down and trim that side there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with this side. Here's the repair I just made. Again, the idea here is you tape it into place, and then later on, when I sand everything, it should blend. So you're gonna really kind of look in to see it. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to mess with this inlay or not. tape down a single side of the inlay. I'm going to cut the other side in and the edges, and then I'm going to tape that down and then cut the other side. So I switched over to this blade. This way I can ride along the edge a little bit smoother. Trying to put in a good amount of pressure, so I only have to do one pass. And I'm also losing my light. Okay, I think that went swimmingly. I'm gonna take a chance here and pull the tape. Or no, because it released from underneath. I should just be able to push it into place. Okay. I'm just going to use the ridge of the wood to guide the cuts. Okay. Here's the final look of the inlay.